Hi, folks, and welcome into another edition of This Week in Pearl. I'm your host, Frank Hutton. Today we are going under the dome where we're going to talk to Representative Gene Newman and State Senator Dean Kirby, our Senate Pro Tem. We're going to talk about this last few days of the session that's going on right now, what's kind of in conference, what needs to come out, appropriations, budget, and we're also going to talk a little bit about something called a reverse repealer. Should be a really fun time. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll jump right into it. So we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Welcome back to This Week in Pearl, where we're going under the dome, and I am joined with my wonderful guest today, Representative Gene Newman. He's shaking his head, Gene Newman, and Senate Pro Tem Dean Kirby. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
My wonderful guest.
Yeah, right.
We learned so much on this show. It's wonderful.
Well, we learned something ourselves, you think.
It's wonderful. How are y'all doing?
Good.
What we
I
got?
wore out. About had enough.
We're tired.
Yeah,
We're tired.
I bet.
Long hours and lots of work and a lot of debates.
Ready for a break.
Yeah.
Ready for some vacation. It's just nonstop, though. I mean, y'all just go for 90 days. It's just a roller coaster.
Well, as we've said before, we started out with, 3,500 bills?
3,800 total.
3,800.
Mm-hmm.
And we're down to the
60 or 70.
yeah.
That,
plus
right.
plus appropriations. Yeah.
Right, plus appropriation. So you've got, what, 7 days from today?
Yeah.
6 days.
6 days.
Really? Yeah.
6 days from today.
6 days on the road, and I'm going to make it.
6 days. Well, we've had a little bit of excitement, of course. I mean, you know, it was great that our state got some recognition on the national media because the governor is able to tout that he signed the bill, the HB1, the bill that passed House and the Senate, reducing the state income tax over a period of time. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was. Mm-hmm. How did the governor put it? It's a historic moment.
Historical moment. I think we're now joining the ever-growing list of states that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think we were the 10th state.
Something
maybe,
like that, 10th or 11th, somewhere right in
Now,
there.
if we can just the federal government to do it.
I know, right?
Oh.
Let's call Michael. Let's call Michael to get
I wouldn't hold my breath on
right
that.
now, or Cindy Hyde Smith.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Let's see if we can get them pulled up. We'll talk about it real quick.
Hey.
But anyway, so we did get it signed. Now this was the bill.
If you're going to dream big.
I know, right? We might as well. But this was the bill, and it's been reported all through the news and literally everywhere. All the print, all the TV stations. Everybody has reported on this issue, and we talked about it last week, on this issue with the decimal point. It's a typo, and I did a little bit of reading, and we were talking about this off camera. The Senate bill, there's another bill, Senate Bill 3095,
It is.
that you guys have right now.
That's in the conference.
That's in the conference that would potentially come out that would fix a typo. Now here's the thing. What the bill is trying to decide between 1% or 1 percentage point.
That's right.
And so it's literally where the decimal is
Well,
located.
the bill's in effect. It's just
Right.
the trigger of
triggers.
lowering it is because of the decimal.
Right, and so Senate Bill 3095 addresses this.
That's correct.
And from what I've been able to ascertain using a little help with some AI, is the Senate bill wants to adjust that 1% to that baseline, set at the baseline of 407 million, clearly defining the revenue loss from reducing the rate by 1 percentage point. The trigger conditions would be 85, 100%, and 115 are still correctly calculated based on this baseline, ensuring economic growth targets are met before future reductions. So it's really kind of semantics a little bit, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's just correction of
But it's really just,
topographical error.
it's just correction of the error.
That's right.
So does it come out of conference?
If we'd had Doug Arnold to read that bill back when we did it, we wouldn't
That's
need
right.
correct.
We wouldn't even be discussing this.
Mr. Math would
Right.
have caught it.
So does it come out of conference? Does it pass, or we punt this till next year?
Well, regardless of whatever happens right now, I think unless we do some rule suspensions, we're getting to a point where we're not going to be able to do anything. So I don't know where they are with the negotiations on that bill. That nobody's told us. So
Are we really worried about it?
no, I mean, to me,
We've got plenty of time.
we got plenty of time to fix it. It doesn't take effect. That part of the bill doesn't even take effect till 2030.
Right.
I mean, we talked about this last week. I mean, if they can fix it now, okay, fine. Let's fix it if we have time. If we don't have time, we'll fix it later.
I hope we can correct it.
This year.
Yeah.
And the simple reality of it is, if it's not fixed, if those decimal points are never fixed and that part of it never kicks in, and we get to 2030 and we can't see that it's the right time to go ahead and let that take place, we're going to be in session at January, February, March.
Anyway,
We can fix it.
you could fix it in 2030.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this is not a big deal necessarily, other than it just
Well,
needs to-
a big deal was just getting it
it's
passed.
just getting it. We did get it
And
passed.
we did. So
It is
yeah.
passed, and so now Mississippi will see, and the grocery tax take place July 1st,
July the 1st, 7 to 5.
7 to 5.
The gas tax going up
Will-
3 cents.
will go up 3 cents.
So
there's no
that
income.
everybody understands, the income tax is already being reduced.
Yeah.
That under the bill in 2022, when we passed it to
Yeah.
start reducing the income tax down to 4%, to a flat rate of 4%,
Mm-hmm.
it's already being reduced. And in 2026, it will drop down to 4%. And then from that point forward, it'll go forward doing a 0.25% down
Right.
until 2030, when it will be at 3%.
Right.
I mean, we wanted basically the same thing, just like I said before, just going to different highways. It's kind of like Highway 49 and
Right.
in Yazoo City. It splits, but it comes back. We knew that we all wanted to do the same thing. It's just how to get there. Ours, we felt like, was a little more protective of the people. But again, the House felt different, and that's why we make Fords and Chevrolets.
Exactly.
But anyway, the real basic difference is the trigger that all this is about. We don't have the 1.5 cent sales tax that the House bill had originally.
Right.
This bill doesn't have it.
It doesn't
now.
have it because that's been taken
No,
out.
and they had a percentage on gasoline where we had a set amount on gasoline, where they were 5% and we were 3 cents a gallon, and that's the basic difference.
And that's the
I
basic,
think.
and that's basically it, because
And then they added the PERS language,
We did add the PERS language.
creating the fifth tier.
Yeah.
which needed to be done, which,
we needed to do
we
something
needed
with
that.
PERS.
Well, absolutely.
and I know
To
a lot of
protect
folks think we made a mistake with that. I don't agree with them, but I think one thing again, if it's not turns out not to be a good thing, when we get there, we'll figure it out. We'll adjust it.
Well, that's right. And also, a lot of people that think maybe that we shouldn't have done that, they didn't have access to the actuaries. I mean, there were, I don't even know how many different actuarial firms that worked with us, the House, the Senate, and with PERS. The people wanted to keep the board that we have for PERS last year. We thought about changing that to have more qualified people.
remember.
We did not. We left it like everyone wanted. And those same people are now saying, don't listen to PERS board. You know, and PERS board actually, I think, did a really good job and did a lot of hard work and study on this issue. And I think that to protect those that are in the system now, and for those that have already retired, and so they can continue to get their 13th check, we had to do what we had to do.
And it also protects those going forward, the ones that, the new hires. It gives them a retirement system that still works for them.
Yeah, that's a very standard, good retirement, better than most retirements still. So I think we did the right thing on that.
Now, is the funding for that, to kind of fill in the gap funding that you've been talking about?
If we pass the budget, we'll
Yeah. I think
We'll be okay.
That's gonna be in there, because I know we've bannered about $100 million a year coming out of
Well,
gaming.
that part of it was in the tax bill. We haven't done anything with that, but again, you know, we're going to put money into it. I think that this year, and hopefully next year, the year after, we can figure out a way to do that on a continuing basis.
A vehicle for that.
Yeah.
Funding.
And, well, maybe I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but as you know, we haven't agreed on the budget yet.
Right.
And the only problem with that, I mean, we can suspend the rules and put it off and all that, but we have a few state agencies that have a deficit right now for whatever reason. I mean, very justifiable reasons, most of them. And I'm worried about those with a deficit. Other than that, we've got plenty of time.
Well, let's just jump to that. You've got 60 or 70 bills, I think you said, that really need to come out of
general bill.
Or general bill, not appropriations,
That's
general
right.
bills. That some of those need to come out, some of those need to die.
That's right.
But that's what you've really kind of got working right now that are in.
That's what we
You got two
tonight's deadline.
Right,
Yeah.
tonight's deadline.
And it can be done. It can, you know, some of them will die.
Right.
But we've got some like judicial redistricting and golly, there's so many.
PBM bill.
Well, that's the one I
PBM is
was
really big
fixing to
deal.
take up with you guys, because as you said,
That's probably the top two.
So explain the PBM. What's this story? What's going on here?
Pharmacy benefit managers.
Okay.
If you look up evil under the dictionary, you'll find PBM. I'm sorry. That's
That's
the
okay.
Truth. That's just the truth. The purpose of them originally was good.
Okay.
They were originally supposed to go between pharmacies and insurance companies and try to negotiate, in other words, and pharmaceutical companies, and try to negotiate better prices for the consumer, which would benefit the insurance companies. Okay.
Of course, they get paid for that.
You know, so they were getting a
They get a
piece of what they got. Well, then you got PBMs getting into the drugstore business. You know, they started owning drugstores, and then they started owning insurance companies. So, you know, you got all the lines got all confused and everything. And then it got to be about those companies making money, not about saving money for the consumer or anybody else. It was just about them making money. And when it's all about them making money, then and they own drugstores, then who they gonna hurt? They're gonna hurt the guys with the independent pharmacists, the small pharmacists, independent pharmacists. We have one right over here on Pearson Road. It's an independent pharmacy that is getting hurt right now because PBMs will just arbitrarily not even pay them what the drug cost. That and any kind of a high price drug, they will call it a specialty drug. And on a specialty drug, that you can only buy it through their pharmacy, through their, they have these certain
specialty
kinds
drugs.
of specialty drug pharmacies.
So they're monopolizing the market.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, they pretty much set the rate, and what happens to these independent pharmacies? They have to buy the drugs at that rate. Well, and you have to buy a certain quantity quantity of the drug. And well, they buy them, and then a few days later, they may come back with a new rate. Well, these drugstores can't sell for less than what they buy and exist, and that's what's happening to some of them.
And it's forcing out the smaller independent pharmacy.
Yeah, but I mean,
pushing it more towards the
Well,
large.
the PBMs
Walgreens is not small, but they're not owned by PBM, and they're not part of a PBM, so they're getting hammered just like all the independents are.
Okay.
And they're getting done the same way. It's just that, you know, when you're trying to monopolize the business and you're trying to push all your competition out of the business, you know, and you have control of how much they get paid, yeah, that's wrong.
So y'all propose to
We're trying to make it, number one, transparent, because, you know, so you can at least see what they're doing, see what they're make them show what they're doing.
cost-wise.
Now,
Yeah.
now let's
Give the department of the farm, who is it regulates pharmacies?
pharmacy board,
Pharmacy board, the authority
or board of pharmacy.
to
yeah.
audit them and see what they're doing. And that's what the bill's doing. So some of the stuff in the bill, they said would hurt companies that had their own drug plants. Nucor. That's the
Nucor
closest
Steel.
one that everybody knows about. It's also Ingalls Shipyard and
Ergon,
those big companies like that. Well, they've convinced
Farm Bureau now.
yeah, they've convinced them that the PBMs have convinced them that they're going to raise their rates if this bill goes into effect.
I don't think that's true.
And you know, so to me,
either.
I've been in business all my life. I mean, that's all I've ever done is work for myself, one way or another. And if I have a supplier that comes in and says, "Well, we're gonna raise your rate on that," okay, I'm gonna call Joe down the street and see what he's gonna do it for, you know. But these PBMs have got it so monopolized, you know, makes it harder to do that. But there are other PBMs out there that does compete with these guys.
And this is not a new issue. 34 years ago, one of the first things I heard when I got there, believe it or not, was PBMs. So I mean, you know, PBMs are destroying hometown community pharmacies, and now it's got to a point where change as well.
Kind of like whack-a-mole.
I'm getting it, but we you know we have what is that, Health Plus, right there on Pearson. That's
The little drugstore, yes.
The little drugstore right
Yes.
there next to this inside the gas station right
Now
there.
those people that own those drugstores, pharmacists, I guarantee they've got everything they could borrow to go into business.
Sure.
And they go in business, and then we change the rules on them, and now we need to be fair, do the right thing, make sure that the majority of the people, if not all the people, are treated
And
the same.
PBMs do stuff like this. I mean, you go in and you give the drugstore your pharmacy, for the pharmacist your drugs that the doctor gave you. Well, he prescribes you 4, and you can only afford 3 of them. So you only get 3 of them. Well, the PBM knows that you was prescribed 4. So 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road, they come back to that pharmacy and say, your customer didn't get all his drugs, so we're going to claw back that money. We're going to just take that money back that we paid you.
Even though I didn't.
You made the decision, not the drugstore, but they're going to penalize.
But the drugstore had to buy that drug because they called it in, so they had to buy it, and now they can't sell it because the person didn't come in and get the drug. So they're sitting there with the drug on the shelf, or back room shelf, vault or whatever, and then
but
the
the PBM
next week
clause-
the price may drop to less than what they had to pay
pharmacy
for
paid
it.
But the money that you paid on the other 3, the money that they paid, the PBM paid, they may call that back because you didn't do all your drugs.
Yeah, and
is
it's
that
gotten so
fair?
our local pharmacies can't. You're talking about specialty drugs, and
Right.
that are owned by PBMs, a lot of them. But anyway, the specialty drugs, you go to the one on Pearson Road, or you go to the one in Brandon, or you go wherever.
I was thinking the other one that I know is on is Brandon Discount
The
Drugs.
Brandon Discount
Brandon
Drugs,
Discount,
big
Polk's
time.
is discount.
Polk's.
Yeah,
They're all
Polk's is
independent.
big. And so, yeah, I mean, these people are just fighting for existence right now. We've had several drugstores that have closed, independent pharmacies. They can't make it. And we need to help them. And we need to be fair.
We had the bill. It should have been concurred, but for whatever reason, the chairman of State Affairs decided that he needed to send it back for more negotiating to try to help these big companies like Nucor and those guys like that.
Ingalls,
Ingalls.
all those. So,
And he lives, his part of his district encompasses in Ingalls, so I get it, I understand.
Right, and
Yeah,
they
well-
have their own separate plan.
they
outside
do.
of it.
Well, they're
But-
self-insured.
That's
Because they're
Yeah,
self-insured.
they're self-insured, so they have their own separate
And
plan.
there's federal laws to protect
And
them.
this will affect them.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And
That
they've
was-
been told that their rate,
They're,
their premiums
the
are going up.
APBMs are
and
saying, oh, we're going to charge you. We're going to have to charge you more because this is going up.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. And it'll work out. It's just something that we need
But we-
to do.
This seems like to me, this is a slice of a pie of a whole larger issue that we've discussed here before. Not only health
Well-
insurance, but hospitalization and beds of hospitals, and
Sure.
this sounds like
Well-
a slice of that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
That's what
Well,
it is.
kind of.
I am kind of okay.
But, well, first off, if we don't do it, Trump's already said they're doing it.
Okay.
So the federal government's going to do it. But we've been hearing the federal government's going to be doing it for the last several years. So we're going to do it.
34.
Well, yeah. I don't know about that, but 10 or 15 for sure.
Right.
The federal government's going to do this now, and they haven't. So we're going to do it. Then, of course, if the federal government passes the law, then we have to go by the federal law. They overrule.
Right.
But meanwhile, we're going to try to do what's
something's
best
coming
for
out
the
of the
people that are
legislature.
paying way too much
Well,
for the drugs.
we're hoping it does. We got to do something to
So
help.
y'all
that.
are going to scratch and claw to get something out of the legislature this year.
We're trying to.
Well, hopefully that'll be done today. I hope.
Right. Well, good luck.
Or hopefully, if we don't, we can suspend the rules and take it up later by extending the date.
Right. Well,
on paper.
I agree that definitely something needs to happen there. So you mentioned suspending the rule. Okay, we were kind of laughing about this, and like last week we laughed a little bit about the gold thumb and the chicken jar, stuff that people didn't really know, and that's really all kind of fun. But we were kind of laughing a little bit off camera before we started here about suspending the rules. And
That sounds bad, doesn't it?
it does. And
It sounds like, they're going to just do the rules.
The
right
reason why
away.
I'm bringing that up is because y'all technically may have to extend the session, and technically only on paper, not physically be there. So explain a little bit about why we might need to extend the session and what is the suspending the rules to do that.
I'm chairman of the rules, so I understand the suspension of the rules because I have to do them. But we suspend the rules most every day. Every day we're on the floor, we suspend the rules for something.
We open, and the House opens up suspending the rules. Once we say the prayer and say the pledge, then the first piece of business that comes up is to suspend the rules on reading of the bills.
The very
The
first
very first thing, every day. Every day we go in session.
the House suspends the rules.
So,
Every time we take up a bill, we suspend the rules.
yeah, if a bill's out of order, in other words, if let's say that we take up items 1, 2, 3, and we pass and retain item 4, which means it stays on the calendar, it keeps its place, but don't want to take it up right then for some reason, we go to item 5. Then the guy later decides he wants to take up item 4, he can suspend the rules, go back to item 4. It takes a 2/3 vote to do that. To suspend any rule, you got a 2/3 vote. But that's everyday occurrence. It's just a way of
So
doing
off camera,
business.
you gave us an example. So if you were to call a bill up,
Yeah,
Would you
if
give us
I would say, Mr. President, I'd like to suspend the rules, go back to item number 4, and have the title be read. Then the lieutenant governor would say, Senator, request that we suspend the rules, go back to item 4. Anyone object? Anyone seeing none, we'll go back to item 4. Senator, you're recognized.
so in 30 seconds or less,
We suspend the rules.
you suspend the rules.
Or I'll do not confirmations, even though we do a lot of confirmations. I do a lot of resolutions, and a lot of times I'll say, Mr. President, I'd like to suspend the rules, take items 1 through 30 in block.
The whole thing.
Take them all up, because all there are Pearl High School wins state championship, Brandon wins state championship, whatever sport, and
Right.
and,
Like
they're all the same.
recognitions
So they,
or-
I say, please read the titles, and they read the titles. Of course, the lieutenant governor will ask anyone which set one aside, anyone not happy with one of these, and a lot of times they'll set one aside, and they'll come back and either debate it or just when I bring it up, then they want to be voting no on that item. So it's suspension of rules is just a way of doing business. It's not the end of the world to suspend the rules. Now we do, since you brought this up, we do have to suspend the rules to extend the session for appropriations because the appropriation conference reports were not filed. Or if we don't do that, then we'll go home without any appropriations. And then the governor will call us back into a special session to take up those bills.
In June.
And what he would probably, well,
Yes,
it
do it for
depends.
July 4th.
What he
First.
might say is, okay, guys, you couldn't agree on all the appropriation bills, so here's the deal. I would ask that the chairman from both sides and the conference committee, well, which would be on the conference committee, but they stay and work this out, and if they work it out within a week, then let me know, and then I'll call them back in order. If they cannot agree, then he will call us back anyway, and he'll probably call us back the middle of June because we have to June 30th
To pass it.
to pass them.
So the budget stuff, which, and this is kind of where we were going to kind of people understand this.
Yeah,
In the budget.
there will be a
that-
budget.
That you're working on, there will be one.
Yeah.
But where you are today, you may have to extend the session, but only on paper.
That's
And
right.
why is that, and how does that work?
The 5 days.
Yeah, the governor.
For our audience.
Sure. Once we pass appropriation bills, or any bill, as far as that goes, and once it's passed and it goes to the governor, and the governor has 5 days to sign it, if he does not sign it within 5 days, then it automatically becomes law. But he can also veto those. So we give him 5 days because we hit him with like 200 bills all at once, and it takes a while. So we give him 5 days, a normal working week, basically, to decide whether he wants to veto or sign, or not sign and let it become law.
So we get through the end of the week and you finally get a budget and all those things passed, last day of the session, you would need to extend the session on paper
On paper.
to allow him the 5 days.
We would still go home.
You still go home.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, yeah. So it's just extending it on paper. We would not be there, hopefully.
Right.
We've
would
done
not
that.
be
We've
there.
done it the last 4
I was
years.
figuring to say, Gene,
It
this
happens
has
almost
happened-
every year.
Happens almost every year, right?
Yeah, sometimes we actually get out early. Yeah, we
We
finish.
get out early, we
everybody-
leave early, but we still have to suspend the rules and extend the session because we're
to the
that close.
Sine Die Day. Well, yeah, the Constitution.
Right, right. So then you just, you don't have to have a quorum, I guess, to gavel out of session.
To gavel out?
Out?
No, to gavel in we do.
You do, that's what I'm saying. But to gavel out, you technically could be in there all by yourself and just close the session.
Well, you're actually supposed to have a
But
majority.
on the suspension
Okay.
rule, it has a date certain that you're going to go sign it die.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
So you don't have to even worry about closing.
That,
No, it does it automatically.
Does it automatically.
Because when we adjourn sine die on the last day that we're there, we adjourn sine die on that day.
On that day.
yeah.
So
We
it's
don't
already
adjourn
handled.
sine die
It's already
today.
handled
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
motion.
we
In the
passed all
motion.
the bills, they've all gone to the governor.
Right. Everything that's
We
going to
don't.
get done is done.
That's right.
And then that motion.
But
you
we have to give
include
him
that
5
language.
days, and we should give him 5 days. The governors never liked the 5-day deal. They say they need a month. It's so many bills. So
Okay.
I
So we
know
will-
Philip Gunn, the Speaker of the House, once they tried delivering the bills to the governor's office for the 5 days, and the governor's office closed. So they couldn't get them to give them more time. So Philip Gunn gets them and goes to the governor's mansion, I understand, with an armload of bills and gives them to the governor in the governor's mansion. So, yeah, we play games.
Of course you
Would
do.
we do that?
Of course you
Say,
do.
we did our work, it's your turn.
It's your turn. Here you go.
Yeah.
Delivered in my radio flyer wheelbarrow right here. Here you go. I can see that. So, okay, so there will be, appropriations have to come out,
Yeah.
right?
If they don't come out,
We'll be
when
back.
we go home, we'll be
Right.
back.
We'll be back either in a few weeks or
Right.
a week or two if they can agree, or we'll be back by June 15th.
Do you see any hiccups here, issues, other than just the crunch time? Anything,
No.
anything important?
It's, no, we just, we've got some people that just got to work it out. And they all have their reasons for disagreeing, and good reasons. It's not,
Right.
it's not
Right.
something just because I don't want to.
Sure.
It's not like that.
Well, we're talking about all good people here. Everybody means
Oh,
well.
yeah.
These are
Yeah,
great
well,
folks.
these are really
You got- you also
good
got
chairmen.
Hard-headed people that want to do it
This way,
you know,
period.
Look, this is the reality. The Senate, they have tradition. They live tradition.
Mm-hmm.
They do it a certain way. I mean, it's just that's the way they have
way it's
always
always
operated.
been.
That's the way they do it. That's the way it should be done, in their opinion. The House is a
According
wild
to the
bunch.
law, that's the way we're supposed to do it.
I mean,
Are y'all wild children over there?
you know, this is the
not
circus and the
gonna say.
monkeys, you know.
Sure.
We want to do it more efficiently, quicker. You know, we don't like waiting until the last few days to do the budget. We want to do the budget during
That's
right.
right.
as we go along.
Right.
And you know, I understand what their chairman is saying. I understand what our chairman's saying. I just, you know, I'm just sitting over here watching. They'll tell me when I'm supposed to show up and vote.
It always works out.
It always
And it
works
will
out.
this
does.
time.
And if it don't work out, then the governor will call us back.
It's interesting how the sausage is made.
Oh, yeah.
we get a little glimpse here of how this really works. One year we should take a camera crew down there and film behind the scenes, you
Oh.
know. And now, so obviously, we couldn't use some of it, but some of it we could.
Well, actually, you have cameras down there now in every committee room,
Right.
on the floor.
But no, I'm talking about not the. I'm talking about the good stuff. I'm talking about the good.
Oh, well, I mean, there have been crazy people that have had fistfights up there.
Right, I'm sure. Over stuff like this.
Yeah.
Disagreements on budget or an appropriation
Yeah.
or
You
something.
you told me that you would do that. Well, I didn't know this when I told you that. Now that I understand this, I'm not going to do it that way.
They actually get in a fight,
Yeah.
like a fist fight.
Well, there's been a
Been one in
few.
a while, but I've been there before. I've been there before when it happened. So
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
I've only seen one. Used to, I think the House would save their fights with each other until they went over to the old Sun and Sand, and they would get in fist fights with each other over there, is what I heard.
The Sun and Sand or the Patio Club.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's what I've heard. That a long time ago.
I've heard some stories.
I heard of one we had many, many years ago in the break room of the Senate. Two senators got in a fight. We had a House member came over one time that was about 5'5" that hit about a 6'4" guy. Jumped up, had to jump up to hit him.
Stand in a chair.
He jumped up and hit him, and the sergeant at arms that was about 6'7" grabbed that guy and turned his head and literally walked him out of the chamber like that.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so that's the only one I've ever seen. That was not nice.
Is it just the stress and pressure of getting down to
Yeah.
where we are right
Well,
now?
you know, I've often said it's you have a bill and you pass it through committee with a lot of debate, and then you pass it on the floor with a lot of debate, and then it passes on the Senate side, except someone puts a reverse repealer or whatever in it, and then it has to go to conference. That's when the tempers start really. Like I said, it's like football. You get the ball on the 20 and you drive it all the way down to the goal line. You're on the 1 foot line and you can't score, and you get frustrated. You 3 straight times up the middle. Well, then what do you do then? After 3 straight times from the 1 foot line, they stop you. Do you try it again, Well, you might, but it probably won't be up the middle. It'll probably, or do you kick a field goal and compromise?
I'm taking the points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unless you have to.
I'm
yeah.
taking the points. Probably. I'm kicking the field goal.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, this is one of the last things we were going to talk about. You mentioned reverse repeal. Now, that's one of the first things that I'm actually hearing about it today. And a lot of these bills that are in conference right now, or they have these things built into them called reverse
Okay,
repealers.
let's start with a repealer.
Okay.
All right, we pass bills all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And an example of that would be a bill that allowed the city of Pearl to charge a restaurant tax. Okay, the state has to give the city that authority.
Right.
So that goes to a local and private committee. The local and private committee authorizes it, sends it to the full body, and we pass it. It's always going to have a 3 or sometimes 4-year repealer in it.
Mm-hmm.
That means every 3 years, that bill is going to come back before the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, it automatically goes away. The city of Pearl can't charge that tax anymore. That's a repealer, okay? A reverse repealer, it takes it and it goes into effect before the bill becomes law.
Well, no, it expires. It expires before it becomes law.
Right.
Yeah.
The bill. So you pass a bill, you pass the law, but before it takes effect, it's not.
It's already dead.
It's already dead.
Right, because the reverse repealer is June 30.
Right.
Yeah.
And the law signed starts July 1.
Right.
But it's already dead.
It's already dead when we pass it. So
How-
all that does is then you can't pass a bill that's already not going to be in effect, so you have to invite Congress.
Right. So I figure, say, why? What are the examples of why these reverse
Well, you
repealers
do that to give more time to put the bill in conference,
Mm-hmm.
and have the conference committee made up of 3 House members from that committee and 3 senators from that particular committee, and then they compromise. It gives them more time to work it out, basically.
Okay.
In other words, it's a bill, we don't particularly like it, but we think that bill could have a little work done to it and
Make it a better bill.
And make it a better bill, yeah.
I see. And
So and a lot of times they fully intend to put a lot of bills come in with a reverse repealer in them when they get introduced.
Yeah.
Because they know it's going to be controversial. An example of that is the bill we got right now sitting up there that's in conference is the redistricting bill, judicial redistricting bill.
I was going to say the judicial redistricting.
Yeah. So because they knew that's going to be. Look, when you're taking judges from over here and you're moving them over here, the judges over here don't like it, and sometimes the judges over here don't like it. But you have population changes, and you have court cases that
population
courts
shift,
that are
the
having-
number of court cases that you may have less population, so they go through a formula on that.
So this judicial redistricting that I know you've been working on is still sitting in
conference.
conference that needs to come out today.
Today.
And it should, and then you've got to take the reverse repealer off of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it all means
They
nothing.
would do that in conference.
They're going to do that in conference.
They're going to take the reverse repealer off. Whatever language has to be fixed has to be done.
And then
in
it
the
goes to the
conference.
House and Senate for a
And
vote.
then at least 2 of the 3 conferees on both sides have to sign the bill.
Yeah.
And then the bill is filed. Once it's filed, then it goes. You either vote it up or you vote it down.
Right.
When it goes to the floor, there's no change in it. There's no doing nothing else with it. It's either up or down.
And if she doesn't come out,
If it doesn't come
Today?
out as dead,
and then what happens to the judicial districts?
then the Supreme Court will redistrict them. This is the last year we have to do it. I don't know why we have to wait till the last year, but we seem to always wait till the last year.
Well, because no one wants to change judges.
Right.
They're used to,
No one wants to
the
make
attorneys
people
know
mad.
those particular judges.
Well, you got lawyers that serve in both houses, and the lawyers are scared to death of making a judge mad and having to go before him.
Sure. I get it. It's all political. I get it.
It is.
It's all political.
The reason you shouldn't have judges on the
But if it-
judiciary, lawyers on the judiciary committee, then they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't-
then there wouldn't be a conflict of interest.
That's right.
We wouldn't have any bills because no one would understand what the heck's going on.
Well, we got plenty of lawyers in LSO, so
Yeah.
I mean, there's lawyers that can explain it without a problem, but
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
How do you fix that? Well,
You know,
the reality of it is we need lawyers up there. We need
Sure.
we need
We
their
need
expertise.
lawyers.
Right.
We need their. we
How do
need
you
them
not
to-
have lawyers on the judiciary
Well,
committee?
you still got to have them on the judiciary. 'Cause what he just said.
I'm on
they-
Judiciary Committee.
You know, I'm on Judge B. So I mean,
I'm on Judge A.
You know, so we rely on a lawyer sometimes to help us find problems.
Right.
You know that are in those bills. So
Sure.
and a lot of the bills that we're doing, they brought because they whatever issue may be going on in the courts or whatever where they see it.
They're seeing.
Well, and a lot of the bills they have in judiciary are correcting things where judges interpret them differently
Yeah, that's the issue.
than what the original intent of the bill was. So we come back and make that language very clear to the judges. that
Right.
This is the intent of
Until they
this bill.
figure out another way to weasel around.
to weasel around it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of
They're good,
similar
yeah,
to
the
what's
judges
going on.
and
Kind of similar to
judges.
what's going on in a statewide. I mean, nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But y'all are all over it every year,
yeah.
and it seems like
It's-
our federal government punts the can down the road.
No, we haven't been kicking the can. I can tell you that. We've been bringing up some very tough issues.
Some tough issues and right. Okay. This has been fun.
It's
This session, this legislative session, of course, is my rookie session doing this.
yeah.
You know, but this
It's-
has been a lot of fun, very eye-opening. Learned a lot about the process, especially learned the bill. I can't wait till next Monday because we can wrap up what the session looked like and how it went. Because we filmed this on Mondays, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and release on Wednesdays. But I'm very
Well,
much looking forward to what
like I
next
say,
week looks like to close
peop-
up Under the Dome.
People just need to understand there's two sides to every story, and
Or three or four.
three.
yeah, and what's good for, as I've said before, what may be good for Hinds County may not be good for Rankin,
Right.
and we're not going to agree, and we're not supposed to, not if we're doing our job.
Right.
So,
Right.
And that's just like the PBM bill. You know, you got so many different sides to that. I mean, I understand Nucor and Ingalls and all those big companies being told, you know, that it's going to cost them a bunch of money and they're not going to be able to offer their employees the same benefits that they're offering. That they got to be concerned, and they got a right to have that concern and
Sure.
and to try to resolve or find a way to resolve it. You know, you have the PBM's view. I mean, they think they should be able to make whatever they want to make. You know, that it's businesses. You know, that's what business is about, making money. So that's their view. You got the insurance companies. You got the consumers. You got, and then you got the small pharmacies that the ones that's being hurt the most.
Right.
And everybody has you got to look at all sides of it. You can't just say we're just going to do it this way, you know. It's not always easy up there. It's not always a easy choice. You have to keep your mind open and not go close your mind up and. A lot of times you got to trust the Lord with making decisions for Him to give you discernment about what to do.
a lot,
Agreed.
a lot.
100%.
And most of the time, if you trust Him with the decisions that He's given you, that you'll be a whole lot better off.
Yeah.
In everything.
In everything.
In everything.
In everything.
And I think anyone in any business at one time or another has made a mistake.
Sure.
If you're human, you know.
Right.
So
We all do. We're all human.
But fortunately, we can come back the next year and correct things.
And fix
So,
it, because you'll be back in January.
Yeah.
Right? You'll be back.
Yeah.
So anything that didn't get done this year that wasn't appropriations or budget can just get fixed in January.
Yeah, and you know, we have, what do you guys have, 5 people running for office because of the reapportionment by the lawsuit from the NAACP? You got 5, we got 10 running. It's election year for them.
Right.
And election year, you got to be careful on election year. One vote, it doesn't matter. I'm serious. It doesn't matter if we vote 10,000 times in one session or 1 year, and we probably do, counting the amendments and in committee and the amendments on the floor and final pass and everything else on every bill. We probably vote 10,000 times. And you can vote one time on one bill
The wrong way.
the wrong way, and that person's against you. Now, they voted the way you would vote 9,999 times, but that one time I'm mad, I'm not ever going to vote for him. Yeah, that
That
time.
one time.
So we have to be careful
Right.
what we bring out during election year, that we don't put someone in a trap
Sure.
for that one time.
Right.
So when they're really good senators or they're really good House members and they do a great job and they represent their people and they love their town, community, and their House or Senate district, and they fight for them every day. It happened. Well, like I said, my wife and I didn't always agree either, but I loved her very much.
Sure.
So you're not supposed to agree on everything.
You're not. We're all individuals.
That's right.
We're human and we're individuals.
And we're going to make mistakes.
And we are.
Just
We all fall
don't,
short.
Just don't tell them keyboard smart people.
The keyboard warriors on Facebook.
That's it. Don't tell them that.
Well, and it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback.
Sure it is. And hide
And
behind the keyboard.
without knowing all the details.
Right.
I may have told this story, but my wife one time said, "So help me, if you vote for that bill, I will never, ever help you again on any election ever." And boy,
That's
she
pretty-
was mad.
that's
I
pretty
said,
strong
and I
statement.
said, "Let me explain."
Let me try to sell you
And
this.
she said, "There's no explaining. I've watched the news. I've read the paper. I've seen it.
I'm fully
I
informed."
know what I'm talking about. No way." I said, "But let me explain." No. About 2 weeks later, they tell something on the news, something great that's happened for Rankin County. And she said, "I didn't know y'all did that." And I said, "It was in that bill that you were so against." "Oh, well, you didn't tell me that." I said, "You wouldn't let me."
You wouldn't let me tell you.
So it's not always as it appears.
Sure.
So
Right. Perception cannot necessarily be reality.
that's right.
That is exactly correct. Boy, I tell you what, I appreciate y'all. I'm looking forward to next Monday.
Well,
can talk
we are
about-
not.
So we can talk about all
When-
the shenanigans that went
Well,
down.
it would be nice if we come back Monday saying we signed he died last week.
There you go. That's the hope.
That's the hope,
That's the
that we
hope.
get all this worked out. We have some very, very smart leadership people in the House and the Senate, and they know that work has to be done, and hopefully we'll get it done.
And hopefully we won't be up there past midnight more than 2 or 3 nights.
That's
This is
right.
this could potentially be a long week.
I mean,
This
more
could
than
be-
more than once. I'm telling you, in the years past, several times,
Yep.
we would. I mean, you can't go past midnight on a day, obviously, and we would actually gavel out for the day and sit there and watch the clock for like 2 minutes, and then hit the gavel again at midnight and say, "Okay, Senate's in order."
Next day.
Start the next day, and then get out by 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's happened
And be
lots of
back.
times.
It's probably going to happen this time.
Hope not, but
I hope not. But I
Yeah.
know y'all have got a lot of things.
and that's when the cameras show someone over on their desk doing this.
You've been there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, we're looking
It's
forward
fun.
to it.
It's fun.
It is fun, though. It is fun.
It is fun because you know you're making a difference.
You are. It's how the sausage is made. I'm excited about it. Anyway, thank you guys.
Well, thank
very,
you.
very
Thank you.
much.
We appreciate
looking
it.
forward,
We appreciate
looking
y'all.
forward to next week.
Well, we have a lot of good bills, and I hope they get passed.
I do too. I do too. All right. We're going to step aside just a second. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the election coming up.
The election
And will
will
it
be
pass? Will it pass? So we're not going to talk about the election. We'll leave that out. But we're going to talk about everything else that's going on in the city of Pearl, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into This Week in Pearl. I'm your host, Frank Hutton, and boy, that was a lot of fun and real interesting to learn. A lot of good information coming out of the legislature. It's great that they passed. The governor signed that HB 1, so it's repealing a Mississippi income tax over the next handful of years. We're able to talk about PERS a little bit and learned a little bit about repealers and reverse repealers and kind of how all that works. It's very interesting, and I appreciate them coming in and having that conversation. Okay, so what's going on in Pearl? Well, by the time we're filming this and release it, the election will have been over, so I correct myself going out. But here's what's happening coming up. So the mayor's Easter egg hunt right outside City Hall complex will happen Saturday, April the 19th, starting at 10 a.m. So this is going to be for all children aged 9 and under. So you want to be right out here at the City Hall complex, April the 19th at 10 a.m. And there's going to be a lot of stuff going on with games, prizes, and I think a lot of things that will be happening. That is April the 19th, the Mayor's Easter egg hunt. Come out and enjoy that. Also, on Saturday, April the 19th, starting at 6 p.m., is the Adult Night. Main Street Pearl is presenting Adult Night at 6 p.m. at the City Hall Complex grounds. It's going to have a fun-filled, glow-in-the-dark Easter egg hunt, and it's going to be followed by karaoke on the main stage that night. There's going to be concessions, beer, all kinds of food, lots of stuff to do. But it's for the big kids, so it's 21 and older. It must be 21 and older to attend. That's going to be the night of April the 19th. So we've got the little kids, 9 and younger, that day, and then the big kid and you on the 21st. For 21 and older on the 19th that night. Doing a glow-in-the-dark Easter egg hunt and karaoke and beer and food and all kind of fun going on that night. Pearl Day, April 26th. Definitely want to attend Pearl Day. It's going to start in the park that morning. There's going to be lots of food vendors. There's going to be that wonderful avenue in the park full of nothing but vendors there with arts and crafts. There'll be a lot going on there. There'll be inflatables and stuff for the kids to do, and as well as music being played. There's Big Earl from Pearl, I believe, is attending at 10 o'clock. He'll be singing, and then you'll have Pearl's own Zach Bridges. I think he goes on at noon or somewhere right around there, and then Pearl Jim's, I think, at 2 o'clock, finishing up all the way till 4. And then after that, you're going to want to make your way over to Trustmark Park for a free concert featuring Bret Michaels, the frontman from Poison, and Warrant will be opening for him. That's going to start, I think gates open at 5:30 with Warrant taking the stage at 7. That is April the 26th. So lots going on in April, and a lot happening, and looking forward to it, actually. Looking forward to a lot more going on, and then we'll get right into the summer. Wow, can't believe it. Already here. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us this time, and until we see you again, y'all have a great week.